Today, the world has over 8 billion people, yet we're living in a global epidemic, a deep-rooted loneliness, especially among the younger generation. Despite our large numbers, many people feel isolated from society. How has this happened, and who benefits the most from it? How does it impact our lives? I'll take you on a journey today to help you understand all these things. A heads up, this episode will feel like a therapy session with a psychologist, but the best part is it's free. So, focus closely because I'll reveal some truths they didn't want you to know. Before we dive in, I'd like to mention that a large percentage of viewers aren't subscribed to the channel. If you find this content valuable, please consider subscribing. Now, let's enter the vortex of loneliness. Chapter 1. What is loneliness? It's possible you're suffering from loneliness without even realizing it. That's why I always say awareness is more important than intelligence, because no matter how smart or skilled you are, none of it matters if you don't recognize your inner enemy. Let me clarify something. Loneliness doesn't mean you're physically alone. You can be surrounded by people and still feel deeply isolated. In fact, feeling alone among others is often harder than just being alone. To illustrate this better, I'll take you on a brief tour through some indicators. If you relate to these, you may be dealing with deep loneliness. 1. Constant emptiness. Regardless of your feelings, anger, sadness, happiness, or excitement, you constantly feel a void. It's as if you've become numb to all emotions, almost like a person without any feelings. 2. Loss of control over emotions. Sometimes you feel nothing, but when emotions do arise, they become uncontrollable. You might experience intense sadness, cry for no apparent reason, or get angry with those around you over minor issues, without really knowing why. 3. Feeling different from others. You often feel disconnected from family or friends, like no one understands or cares about you. It's hard to find someone you can fully share your thoughts with. Questioning life's meaning. Suddenly, you find yourself asking questions you never considered before, like, what's the purpose of life? Or, why were we created if we're all going to die anyway? 5. Constant exhaustion. You feel drained, lacking the energy even to answer a friend's call, work, shop, or talk to anyone. 6. Wasting time excessively. You spend hours on social media, scrolling through TikTok videos, playing games for long periods, or watching shows and movies you don't really enjoy, which only worsens your problem. 7. Neglecting self-care. Basic self-care habits like brushing your teeth, shaving, showering, or tidying your room become burdensome. Now, if you recognize yourself in any of these indicators, you're likely experiencing loneliness. So, let me clarify a key point. My message might be a bit complex, but I promise to deliver the insight clearly by the end of this episode. Chapter 2. The Deception of Mental Illness and the Role of Mysticism in Medicine. Mental illness is something we often hear about, and we know that there are psychiatrists we can visit who can diagnose our condition and potentially help us feel better. However, what I want to clarify is that, unfortunately, to this day, many people still fall victim to these deceptions. These tricks work on people because they are desperate. When people reach a state of despair and exhaustion, they seek any solution to their problems, even trying all possible ways to find a solution. What I'm trying to convey is that psychiatry often follows a method similar to deception, covering itself with the guise of medicine. You visit someone who listens to your problems to help you feel better and talks with you a bit. But most of the talking is done by you, and then they provide you with a drug. They claim these drugs are medications and sedatives to improve your condition, but in reality, they are simply narcotics. These drugs are given fancy names to mask their true nature, just like many things in our modern world. Let's go back to psychiatry. I am someone deeply interested in human nature, and I consistently observe that nearly all cases of mental illness, especially depression, can be traced to one main cause. People feel unimportant in society. By nature, humans seek to be significant. Whether your goal is to buy a car, become a president, or be a source of happiness for others, if you dig deep enough, you'll find that these aims are about feeling important. If no people were around, we wouldn't prioritize these goals. To feel significant among people, we must stay connected with them. This is why all human societies and civilizations, from the beginning of time to the present day, are built on human interaction and connection. Humans are social beings, not meant to be isolated. Yet, if you're constantly told that your problem is depression, anxiety disorders, or social phobia, you will lose sight of the root cause of the problem: isolation and disconnection from the world. I'm not saying that all psychiatrists are scammers. Most have studied their field and work genuinely. But there are entities promoting these deceptions because they benefit from their continuation. I'm not dismissing psychology as a field. In fact, there is indeed psychology, complex and intricate. However, much of psychology is a dark science, used to manipulate and control people, recruit individuals, or mislead them. If you're skeptical about this, read the book, The 48 Laws of Power, where you'll see that throughout history, from the medieval ages to ancient times, people have used psychological knowledge to control and manipulate others. So, many mental illnesses are illusions and fabrications, and I'll explain why soon. For now, if we look back in history, we'll find that depression is a relatively new term. The English writer and researcher Robert Burton mentioned it in 1621 in his book, The Anatomy of Melancholy. Robert wasn't a doctor nor a psychiatrist. He wrote about depression in a work that was purely literary and philosophical, despite publishing it as a medical book. Therefore, I think you should start questioning the very existence of depression itself. Chapter 3. How you get pulled into the whirlpool of loneliness. Depression is simply a mix of feelings of sadness and emptiness that stem from loneliness. But if we try to fight depression rather than loneliness itself, it's like trying to battle the smoke without putting out the fire burning down our house. So now we understand that loneliness is at the core of most mental health issues, even though it's not talked about as much as depression or social anxiety. That's why it's important for you to see how some forces aim to shape the younger generation into one that's lonely and isolated, making them easier to control. From this point on, things get a bit dark, so bear with me. The new generation is facing a major problem: smartphones and, more specifically, social media. When you open Instagram or any other platform, you're constantly exposed to models, celebrities, and wealthy people showing off their glamorous lives. You see their money, beauty, and popularity, and it starts to chip away at your confidence or even make it disappear entirely. When you spend so many hours on your phone daily, your time with others naturally shrinks. Your social skills start to fade, and before you know it, social anxiety takes hold. You end up isolating yourself more and more, trying to fill the emptiness through things like adult content. For men, there's a natural drive to work towards attracting women, but with a few taps on your phone, you can access a world of beautiful women, bypassing the motivation to actually work for anything. This dependence grows stronger, making it harder to form real connections, both socially and in real life, as everything you need seems to exist online. This leads you deeper into loneliness, even if you have people around. Imagine a gathering of people who are all struggling with loneliness, but each is too closed off to communicate, too scared to open up. This is a real crisis because it turns people into passive consumers. They scroll through TikTok, browse Instagram, eat, drink, and endlessly click on mindless content, living without purpose. They become just what they want, servants to their system, merely living to sustain it. And who are they? All governments without exception, along with the hidden powers behind them. They control the news channels, the social media platforms, the media influencers, writers, armies, police, even religious figures. They own your personal information. In short, here's the whole formula. Loneliness leads to depression and mental health issues, which create a weak society made up of mere consumers. And for governments and the forces behind them, this means power, influence, and profits continue to grow.
What are we then?
You know, consumers.
Right. We are consumers. We are byproducts of a lifestyle obsession. Murder, crime, poverty, these things don't concern me. What concerns me are celebrity magazines, television with 500 channels, some guy's name on my underwear. I say never be complete. I say stop being perfect. I say let's evolve. Let the chips fall where they may.
Chapter 4. Escaping the Vortex of Loneliness. Listen, my friend, whether you're already struggling with loneliness or not, I'm here to share a way out, so you can avoid getting pulled into that whirlpool entirely. Trust me, there are people out there who exploit others' loneliness because, for them, it's incredibly profitable. I'll guide you to a path where you can be genuinely free, not just feeling free, but truly liberated. The solution has 4 main parts, and I'll go through each one. With every step you apply, you'll feel better and happier. Here's how it breaks down. 1. Technology. There's no doubt technology is helpful. It saves us time and brings us many conveniences. But no one talks about the downsides. Spending hours on your phone each day is going to rob you of good things and trade them for harmful habits. Imagine you're an average person who spends about 4 hours daily on their phone. In reality, 80% of those watching this are likely spending even more time on it. Every hour you spend online benefits social media companies. They're literally drawing your energy because, while you're scrolling or gaming, you're not gaining much for yourself. You're harming yourself by not engaging in physical activity, isolating from the real world, and reducing your social skills instead of building them. So, it's no wonder social anxiety cases are increasing day by day. Sure, someone might say, I enjoy the time I spend on social media. But of course they make it enjoyable, so you keep coming back, craving that dopamine hit again and again. This addiction to apps can be just as damaging as drug addiction. As I said, technology is one of the major pulls into the vortex of loneliness. So, beware of it. Just because something looks harmless doesn't mean it's your friend. 2. Pornography. Now, I'm not like other YouTubers who just tell you things you already know, like pornography is bad for your brain. That's obvious. Anyone with common sense would understand that porn damages masculinity, natural instincts, and even the mind. But the issue runs far deeper than that. As men, we're naturally inclined to work hard, get married, start a family, and feel like we have a purpose, providing for that family. However, when you get caught in the spiral of pornography, you lose that primary drive to work. Think about it. If you can see women without putting in any effort, then why work hard at all? This will make you dependent on the temporary pleasure it brings, even though these people don't know you exist. After a while, this will leave you feeling empty. Anyone struggling with pornography knows this emptiness I'm talking about. You'll feel hollow and start to hate yourself, wanting to stop but feeling unable to break free. You'll feel like you don't need those shallow feelings, yet still feel trapped, craving real, genuine emotions. Deep down, you know this is all temporary and fake. You just want someone who cares about you, but you're stuck because this cycle has drained your social skills, stopped you from working on yourself, and left you addicted to things that aren't real. ultimately making you lonely. 3. Physical effort. Many people, especially the younger generation, don't realize this. They think they need rest, but what they actually need is support. Engaging in physical effort is one of the best solutions for mental issues. Many people suffer from overthinking, which makes small problems seem huge. Now, I'm an overthinker myself, but I do this by choice. When I managed to control it, I started using it to my advantage, realizing that overthinking can have some benefits if managed well. If you exert physical effort, you won't have the energy to occupy your mind with trivial matters, and you'll start sleeping better. Not thinking about every little detail will help you live in the moment. Imagine being at a social gathering, wanting to do something or talk to someone. If you're in the present, you won't worry about what people think or what could happen later. You'll simply go ahead and do what you're thinking about. This approach will open doors to new friendships and allow you to develop social skills, making social anxiety a thing of the past. Before moving on to the last point, I want to address something important for parents. If you're a parent, please don't give your children phones or electronic devices before at least the age of 13, and even then under supervision. Apart from the negative content on the internet, it's unfair for children to become dopamine addicts at such a young age. Over the past few years, I've seen many incredibly smart children lose their intelligence after using phones and apps like Instagram, TikTok, or even listening to children's songs on YouTube. A child is still growing. They need to move, fall, get hurt, understand what pain means, and at the end of the day, feel exhausted from playing in the real world so they can sleep soundly and grow in a healthy way. I won't go on much longer, but I hope my message is clear. Finally, and most importantly, self-acceptance. Sometimes in life you'll find yourself alone. There may be no one around, or perhaps you're far from your family, isolated in another place. In such times, you need to be mentally prepared and aware of your situation before it begins. Accept that you're alone, but that you won't remain this way. Think of solitude as a period of mental rest. Trust that you won't be alone forever. No one is born to be alone. When you accept that it's okay to be alone and that it won't last forever, you'll be fine. Yes, you may feel lonely, but you won't experience imaginary struggles like depression or social anxiety because you know it's just a phase and that you can endure it. In fact, self-acceptance is essential in all aspects of life. Embrace your challenges and work to solve them, knowing that getting stuck in isolation is a choice. Someone may try to hold you back or push you into a spiral, but if you remain stuck, that's on you. Don't compare yourself to someone who has more money or more friends. Don't look at someone who seems to have everything. Just follow your path, because you're unique. Your uniqueness is your strength. You're the only one capable of changing your life,